Think about how many zoos or parks with animals you have visited in your life. Hello, my name is Jessica Trimmer, and I'm here to talk to you today about the highly controversial issue of animals being captured and tamed for our own entertainment. There are a number of campaigns raising awareness to educate the public on this issue, including LAC, which stands for Last Chance for Animals, and CAPS, which stands for Captive Animals Protection Society. On one hand, some may argue it's a good thing to capture animals. The industry of zoos and parks which include these animals is popular and brings in a lot of money. Tourist attractions like SeaWorld can bring revenue to the city. Another example of this is many people visit San Diego for their famous zoo, which recently had a lot of publicity involving the incident with the gorilla Harambe. Almost 5 million people visit the zoo every single year. Another positive is the rehabilitation of sick animals. For example, the Big Bear Alpine Zoo in California takes in over 100 animals to help rehabilitate them and release them back into the wild. The animals could also be an endangered species, and by taking them in, we help prevent extinction. Lastly, it enables scientists to study and learn more about animal behavior. On the other hand, there's a huge issue with animal welfare. By taking them from their natural habitat, they become accustomed to life with humans, and they cannot be returned back into the wild because they have not been taught to defend themselves. The animals are taken from their families at such a young age and put into abnormally small enclosures where they can become sickly and die before their expected lifespan. The lifespan of an elephant in the wild is about 60 to 70 years, while in captivity they can die before the age of 40. A spotted hyena in the wild can live up to 25, and in captivity they can die as young as 12 years old. For a dolphin in the wild, they can live to about 46 years old, and in captivity they can die before the age of 24. And for the camel in the wild, they can live up to about 50 years old, and in captivity they can die as young as 20 years old. Another big issue is the treatment of the animals. Many of you have seen or heard of the documentary Blackfish, which brought to light the treatment of orcas. Shamu, which was the fourth orca ever captured, was only a baby, and her mother was shot and killed. More and more babies continued to be captured after this, and their mothers killed. In an attempt to cover up the mother's death, their bodies would be cut open, filled with rocks. An anchor was attached to their tail in order for them to sink to the bottom of the ocean, so people would not be alerted about the situation. Tilikum, which was another orca, was captured at the age of 2, not because he was sick, but he was taken for theme park entertainment. He was forced to live in a holding tank for about a year while he was waiting to be transferred. He was used to swimming 100 miles per day, but being confined to this small tank forced him to only be able to circle around and float at the top of the water. He had a collapsed dorsal fin, which SeaWorld claimed to be healthy and common in wild orcas, but actually it shows signs of an unhealthy and stressed orca. Imagine being forced to live in a bathtub for the rest of your life. That is what it's like to be an orca in captivity. The average lifespan for an orca in the wild is about 50 to 80 years old. In captivity, they only live to about 12 years old. Some of us may be wary of the violent nature of orcas in captivity, although they are not dangerous to us in the wild. A shocking number of 3 humans have been killed by Tilikum alone due to his stress, frustration, and confinement. This highlights the extreme strain the orcas unfortunately experience in captivity. A recent tragedy at SeaWorld involves 2 polar bears named Zenja and Snowflake that were separated after being held together for 20 years. SeaWorld insisted on transferring one of the polar bears to the Pittsburgh Zoo for breeding purposes, even though PETA, which stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, urged them not to go through with the transfer. They still continued their plan, which led to the devastating yet preventable death of the other bear not transferred, which environmentalists say was due to heartbreak. This came as no surprise to most people, as polar bears often suffer from depression when held in captivity. We are probably all guilty of seeing a show at one of these places or going to a zoo and enjoying it. But if we do enough research, we can see that the company's actions are motivated by money and not by the animal welfare. This is why we should all become more aware and educated on this issue. If you are inclined to go to one of these places, I recommend to first research how the animals are being treated, or instead spend your money on donating to an organization such as www.peta.org, which stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or www.seaworldofhurt.com, which helps raise awareness to the issues I previously discussed, or donate to AmericanHumane.org, which devotes its time and money to verifying the humane treatment of animals living in zoos, aquariums, and conservation centers all over the world. Thank you.